A happy town is struck by a deadly virus which causes its patients to become crazy and bloodthirsty, while a couple attempts to escape. David and his wife Judy resides in the lovely town of Ogden Marsh. David is the town's sheriff, and Judy is a professional doctor. Judy is in his clinic when her assistant arrives and informs her that she wants to leave to watch the baseball game. Judy initially tells her to stay, but then agrees to let her go for the day. David reports for duty at the baseball stadium. The crowd is cheering, and David is watching the game with his friend Russell. David soon notices a man approaching the field with a gun. He enters the field and instructs the team to exit. He tells the man Rory to drop the gun, but he still has it in his hand. David is upset, and Rory appears to be drunk. David is suddenly in the gun sight of Rory. He asks Rory to put down the gun, but Rory instead tries to murder David. David barely escapes harm and uses his gun to shoot Rory. At nighttime, Rory's dead body is given to David for post-mortem. David is also upset about the accident and tries to apologize to Rory's family, telling them Rory was drunk, but Rory's wife informs David that Rory has not been drinking for the past 2 years and slaps David's face. Early in the morning, Judy approaches David, who is upset, and tells him that he has done the right thing. Judy is pregnant, so David advises her to rest. David arrives at his department and is taken aback when the doctor tells him over the phone that Rory's report revealed no alcohol. David is now suspicious of Rory's behavior, even though Rory was a good man. He goes to the baseball stadium to look into things further, but he comes across another man named Bill who is seen sitting alone. David approaches Bill but receives no response. Bill eventually tells him that he's fine and walks away. Bill's wife brings him to Dr. Judy because she believes he is not right. Judy checks everything, and Bill seems fine to her. She informs Bill's wife that Bill is under mental stress and needs to rest. Bill's wife notices that he is not sleeping and is working in the fields at night. She tells his son to stay at home and goes to see Bill, but when she arrives, there is no one inside the grass cutter vehicle. She becomes suspicious and returns to his son. His son informs her that his father, Bill, has gone insane and is carrying a knife. She hides inside a room as Bill approaches and locks out the door from outside. Bill pours gasoline all over the house and lights it on fire. Bill's wife and son screams and eventually dies inside the house. David responds to the emergency call and goes to the location where the fireman informs him that Bill's family had died, and that they have discovered Bill mowing the lawn. Judy asks Bill what he has done, but Bill says nothing as if he has gone insane. David arrests Bill while his friend Russell notices Bill giving them the same look Rory gave them earlier. Some hunters come across a dead pilot on the riverbank. David arrives to investigate while the man informs him that he has been dead for several days. David goes in search of the crashed plane, while Russell informs him that Travis has heard about a crash last week but did not notice it. They find Travis and try to find the plane, which they eventually find under the river. David is suspicious because no news of the military plane crash has been released. David believes that the water is poisoned and goes to see Kevin, the water supply manager. Kevin informs him that the water from the riverside is the first to enter the Rory residence. David is taken aback as he discovers the source. He goes to meet with the mayor to cut off the town's water supply, but the mayor refuses. David decides to cut off the supply without the mayor's permission. David and Russell have returned. Russell notices Bill laying down in the prison and believes he is dead. He attempts to open the prison door, but David engages. Bill abruptly awakens, and they are terrified by his condition, which is transforming him into a psychopathic killer. David tries to call someone, but the town's communication services are no longer available, and he believes that the town is in grave danger. He goes outside to get a signal, but discovers that the town is deserted. Soon after, he notices a suspicious vehicle that manages to escape. David rushes to the hospital, only to discover that the doctor is also causing problem. The doctor attacks him from behind and attempts to kill him with a cutting machine. David struggles at first but eventually kills the doctor. The cutting machine suddenly approaches him, but Russell saves him by arriving at the right time. David returns home and tells Judy to leave town and live with her parents, but Judy refuses because she does not want to leave David in this situation. Judy notices the warehouse door has been opened and informs David that they are being watched. When David enters the warehouse, an army of soldiers appears and takes him inside the school bus. David notices they are taking all of the townspeople on the bus. Soon after, soldiers arrive to quarantine all residents at a high school. David sees that the army has built camps on the school ground. The soldiers soon tells them to line up and they started examining them for symptoms of infection. Judy informs David that they are checking everyone's temperature. David is good, but Judy is caught because she is pregnant and has a high temperature. They abduct Judy while David tries to stop them, but soldiers drags him back and punches him in the face. They drags Judy inside the school, ties her to a bed, and use a mask on her to make her unconscious. David awakens to find himself being transported back to town in a truck. When David notices that they are putting them in quarantine, he manages to flee and gets to the department to get his gun, and Russell joins him after learning that Judy is pregnant. On the other hand, the camp is being raided by infected people, and soldiers have lost control. Some of the soldiers are killed by the infected people, while others flee. Judy is still at school, and she notices her friend Becca, who is also present. Judy assures her that everything will be fine. Hearing their voices, an infected man enters. While Judy orders Becca to remain silent, the infected man began killing one by one with a yard scraper. Judy and Becca are terrified. Others laugh as he murders them. He suddenly approaches Becca, but Judy cuts him off by screaming. He abandoned Becca and is gradually approaching Judy to murder her. Judy was on the verge of death, but David saved him. David instructs them to go to the bus stop to get out of the town. Russell is also concerned because he believes he has drank the poisoned water, but David assures him that he will be fine. The town has been destroyed, and all of the cars are locked. When Russell sees a truck open, David warns him to be careful because blood is dripping from it. Suddenly, infected people appeared with guns and murdered an elderly man. The people quickly flee. David returns home to retrieve his old truck. Becca is relieved to learn that his boyfriend is also safe. David soon notices the soldiers and orders them all to hide. Scotty's family is taken by the soldiers. Scotty tries to stop them, but they kill his family and burn his body. After some time, a soldier approaches David and Russell and they manage to kidnap him. David threatens him with silence unless he tells him what is going on. The soldiers have no idea and tells him that they only have orders to kill everyone because there was an accident. When soldiers arrive in search of David, he tells him not to say anything. The soldier agrees and does not reveal anything about David or the others. Early in the morning, they walks up to David's house and notice the old gasoline car. Russell works on the car while Judy goes inside the house for one last look, but it appears that someone is hiding behind her. David also enters and gets into a fight with the infected son of Rory's Kurt while Judy is strapped with a chair. David's gun is dropped and he struggles to retrieve it, but soon Rory's wife Peggy appears and stabs his hand with a knife, picking up the gun and looking like she is going to kill Judy. David fights back and manages to kill her with the knife stabbed in his hand. Kurt appears from behind and attempts to murder David, but Russell shoots him with the gun from outside. David is saved by Russell. Russell soon appears in the room and shoots them twice more, indicating that he is also becoming infected. David is surprised to see this, but he ignores it because he has saved their lives. They get into their car and attempt to leave town. An army helicopter spots them on their way. David can hide the car in a service station. When Judy sees infected men inside the service station, they begin breaking the windows and windscreen of the car and attempting to kill them. Judy screams and becomes terrified. David drives the car outside, but when an infected man on the car roof manages to insert a pipe into Becca's neck, the car comes to a halt and the infected men are shot. They notice that Becca is no longer breathing, indicating that she is dead. The helicopter soon destroys their car. They decide to walk and soon notice two cars on their way, appears to have been in an accident. They look for water in the cars, but there is none. When Russell notices a car speeding towards them, he uses a spike strip on the road to stop it. David threatens the driver, a government employee. He finally revealed that the plane that crashed was carrying a prototype and biological weapon called Trixie and that the plane was en route to Texas to control the population. Suddenly, Russell becomes enraged and shoots the employee. David is also threatened by Russell's bad behavior. David tries to calm him down, but Russell realizes he is now infected. David tells Russell to hand over the gun, but Russell points it at him. David tells Rudy to relax. Russell claims to have saved his life 3 times and commands them to walk in front of him. David manages to confront Russell and reclaims the gun. Russell begs him to take him along. David agrees, and they soon arrives at a military roadblock, where Russell assists David and Judy by distracting the soldiers, but Russell is killed. At night, David and Judy walk through safely. David enters the store to get some food and water, but when he returns, he notices Judy is upset. Judy tells David what happened, and shows him the military bullets and the dead people in town, implying that soldiers killed everyone in town, not just the sick. David tells Judy to relax. David is looking for a vehicle when he notices a soldier's walkie-talkie. He learns that the army is planning to drop a nuclear bomb on the town and the countdown begins. David now has 10 minutes to get out of the town. David and Judy get into the truck, but it doesn't start. David exits to retrieve the keys but is confronted by an infected man who struggles to fight him. Judy, on the other hand, shoots yet another infected man who enters the truck. David pours gasoline on the man and burns him with a lighter. The infected man screams and dies. David takes a deep breath as Judy tells him to get out of town as soon as possible. While Judy looks at the map, David accelerates the truck on the road. They now only have 20 seconds. The countdown soon comes to an end, and an explosion destroys the town. Their truck collides with the oncoming effect and is involved in the accident. David and Judy are saved, but they are badly injured and must continue walking on foot. It appears that they have made it to the next town. Finally, a satellite monitor shows that the army is planning to attack another town, Cedar Rapids. While an infected individual appears on camera, the newsreader reports the explosion, and the signal is lost.